So I don't think I would do it after hours, but who knows? Who knows? Here he is, brother Chris, the matchmaker in the building. What's good, fam?
How's it going, DL Saints?
Oh man, it's all good, man. Just trying to carve out some time so I can, maintain my platform while we're building our network, man. So yeah, man, I was telling everybody you're part of the Castle Club. Do you mind telling everybody why you joined Castle Club and what's your experience so far?
The reason I joined the Castle Club is because I actually got a chance to hand Myron a super chat in real life. I gave him an envelope and I handed him a real super chat with what I wanted to say on it. When he saw that a person in his real vicinity was willing to do that, he knew right away, Matchmaker Locals, let's do for real, fresh and fit locals. Handing a business plan to my brother because that's where I really wanted it to be. In the process of it being created now, it has come to fruition in a way where men are actually coming together, as I think we've all really wanted this nation to have for a very long time, saying, I mean, you and me are literally from a different era, but of the same mind in this regard. And if I could kind of guide you through one of the things I'd like to talk about, it would be to continue the conversation we were just having about demoralization, so I can understand the difference between what the quelling of the process of love was like for men in your age group versus what I'm going to be seeing in men who are in my age group, 30s, and then of course like Jude in his 20s.
All right, we got a couple minutes. Let's go ahead and do it.
My man. All right. So I want to say that what I'm witnessing, like with demoralization, is that if I were to take this hairbrush and just beat men in the stick, or with this stick, and this was love, and I kept hitting them in the face with love and over and over, they wouldn't even know what love is. They wouldn't know what to do with it. They wouldn't know how it amplifies your life. They wouldn't know how to use it with a woman or being presented with a woman, how to even maneuver with it. Because what I'm seeing is that the woman is being used from this is my possession context versus what can I give to this person to build them context, which I'm sure you and me are very good at doing. Now, I don't know at all what it was like before me. And I'm really relying on your wisdom to guide me to understand that process of what you've seen.
Well, I would say that there are some dudes out there, to your point, they're like, yeah, they're going after women for like they see her as maybe a possession, or they see her as, like an object or whatever, like you were saying. But I would argue that those guys are in the minority. I think most dudes, they don't even have the wherewithal to present themselves to a woman and have success. Even if that, and to me, success can be as simple as having a good conversation, maybe getting her to join you for an ice cream or something like that. Most dudes can't even get that far. So when we were coming up, you're going back to the 80s, the late 70s, the 80s, the 90s. Like when I was a young kid, of course, I was like all the other kids. I was shy. You see a girl, oh my gosh, she's cute. Oh, she's looking at me. You don't know what to do. But we lived in an environment where there was very little tech. So if you wanted to succeed, you had to get over that fear. Most dudes they're just so afraid to fail when it comes to this sort of thing. They don't want to hear no. They're afraid to even go find out. And then later in life, they realize that the girl liked him in the first place, and all he had to do was go say hi, and she would have dated him. But it's too late now, and they fall into this, this whirlpool of despair, and then they blame women for their shortcomings, right? So in our day, they didn't have tech. The whole world wasn't in play. It was only your city, like your region. That was it. Women, they're gonna want to settle down with somebody. They want to be with someone. Okay, we couldn't get the top tier guy. I couldn't get the high school, football captain who went off the win. I couldn't get him. I didn't get the guy, in college, but here's this guy at my job that's pretty cool. I'm going to be with him. Nowadays, you got technology, and they're constantly presented with someone that they think is better or whatever. And that's where the hypergamous nature comes in. That's when, the endless supply of choice comes into play. And that's what's hurting us now. The dudes who understand how to talk to women are getting the most success versus the dudes who were afraid. And now no one even goes outside. So they have even less human contact. They become weirder and weirder. So now they can't even approach. These guys are so weird. They don't know how to take a bath. They don't, they don't smell right. They don't look right. They don't know how to dress properly. So this is the huge gap that we're seeing now. And it's only growing.
So to completely agree with what you're saying, I have to just say that you and me happen to be of a very similar mindset. As a man who was born in the 90s, I'm 33. I have only ever cold approached women and nurtured a real relationship with people. What I need to make you aware of is that what I'm witnessing in men in my age group, and sometimes the older dudes, because I do talk to older dudes out here in Boca Raton to make sure that they're like getting a chance. And then the younger ones, it is almost it's retarded saying it is insane how much of a disconnect, an inhuman amount of disconnect there is in the younger men in approaching the women, and it is on the women's side too. They're like it they have no communication with each other. They're in an echo chamber. Now, originally what started this with the need for this vengeance in my heart, the thing that really pushed me to do this is when in 2020, if they're going to let me say I'm going to be as polite as I can about this.
Yeah, it's YouTube.
I noticed that the human birthing rate was going down, and I was expecting in 2020 that it would go up. But now that I'm seeing my fellow Americans not prospering in the American dream, it vexes my heart in a way that I can't explain in words, Saint. And we are going to fix it.
Well, I don't think we're going to fix the decline in birth rate. I mean, the birth rate is going down for more than just the reasons we're discussing. We're just talking about how guys, they face this paralysis by analysis. Like, oh, I'm going to use this technique or that technique or this or that. Like you said code approach or doggy game or, what I mean? They got all these things. They're reading all this information and they're not doing anything. They're just like stuck because they're reading all these books and listening to these podcasts. The reason I think the birth rates are going down is because, first of all, it costs so much to have a child, and women don't need men, right? That's what they say. They're out there, they're making their own money, they're career driven, right? You look at what's going on now. By 2030, they say 50% of women between 18 and 26 or 28 will be childless and unmarried. You know what I mean? So they're going to be lonely, childless women who have these degrees and they don't know what to do. And so I think the birth rate is tied to that aspect. Is women prioritizing their careers over actually having kids. And then when they do that, I mean, women tend to want to date a guy on her level or higher. I mean, it is what it is. I've talked to plenty of women on this platform, and I'll ask one simple question. I was like, hey, would you take care of your man? Like, if you're making $100,000 a year, because most of these women are, I'm like, would you take care of your guy who's making $60,000 a year? And she's like, well, I'll take care of him just until he gets, up to speed and starts making money like me. I'm like, no. Like, for the entire relationship, like, he's going to make 60, you're going to make 100, 200, whatever. Will you take care of him? And they all say no. Every last one. I'm like, well, even if he's the most perfect guy, he checks every box except for the financial one. Would you still take care of? They're like, no, I won't do it. That is why the birth rate is going down. And then you have women like Ebony K. Williams. She couldn't get the guy that she wanted. So what did she do? She went out and she bought some sperm. She got herself inseminated. And she's like, I'm going to have this baby by myself. I don't need a man. That, you know what I mean? And that's where we are. So how do we fix that? Men got to become better. Men got to get out there and get after it. I always talk about the 80-20 rule. And it's just I just use that as a visual for people. Like the minority of guys are sought after by the vast majority of women. The majority of guys are not. So we just need to get more guys into that elite status. More guys who are leveling up, making money. They have confidence. They know what they're doing. They can code approach. They can use, that Michael Certain, social circle game, all of it. And once they do that, they become more attracted to women. And then women are going to want to be with those people. And when they do that, they're going to have more babies. But I think the American birth rate, homegrown, is going to continue to go down. But they're just going to let more immigrants in. So we don't have to worry about not having enough Americans. We'll just open the gates and let more people in. And that way we get our numbers up.
I love what you're saying, and I hear what you're saying. On my side of the mentorship, I absolutely have to believe that the people at some point, I know that you and myself definitely have the provider mind and have done what it takes to be as such a provider. I have to believe that the men will push even past the numbers, push even past the statistics, push even past everything against all odds, the things that are not in our favor. I want them to believe that exactly for what you just said, if they have done what Myron said, use the accomplishments that leads to the confidence, that leads to the competence, that pushes your ass out there, that these men Not only are going to make America great again, but they're going to make beautiful families and instill beautiful American values like the Constitution. That would make me super happy.
Yeah, it'd be cool. Like the make America great again thing. Unfortunately, like the Trumpers have turned that into a bad thing. Because I've talked about that with people who aren't necessarily Trumpers. Like, well, what's wrong with the way America was back in the 1960s? It was a great time. I was like, it was a great time for who? Because for my ancestors, it was a very bad time. I got relatives who were swinging from trees. So when you say make America great again, it always takes people back to so like a division. But I get where you're coming from. Instead of saying make America great again, I would just say maintain our greatness. America is still the greatest country on the planet. I've been around the world. I've been to some dark places. Everywhere I've gone, even though they hate Americans, they want to go to America. Right? Think about that. Russians want to come to America. The Chinese want to come to America. North Koreans would love to go anywhere. You know what I mean? Just get the hell out of North Korea. Even when you go to Africa, all those countries in Africa, they would love to come to America. A lot of them will come just for the opportunities, get their money, and then go back home. Like you look at Central and South America. So America has always been great. So what we need to do is maintain our greatness. When I talk to my friends out there, my Republican friends out there on the other side of the aisle, my Democrat friends out there on their side of the aisle, I'm like, hey, man, can we agree on this? How about we just maintain our greatness, right? And one of the ways we do that is we stop this bullshit with Biden and Trump. Neither one of these dudes should be, running for the White House. How is it that those two guys are the best and brightest we have in America? I refuse to believe that bullshit. Now, I don't want to turn this into a political conversation. I want to keep it where we are with relationships. But men need to get outside, right? They need to get from in front of their screens and learn how to talk to other humans, not just women. Because you've seen in our chat, we've had conversations. There have been guys out there that have done things and they meant well and they will say it. And it's like, yo, why the fuck did you just say that? Right? We have guys out there that'll say things and they mean well, but it's like I'm scratching my head like, oh, bro, come here, let me talk to you, homie. You don't say that shit. You know what I mean? So that's how we fix a small part of this. And then with women, we have to let women understand that not every last one of y'all going to get a dude who's 6'4", making $500,000 a year. That's the prettiest man ever made. Nah, that's not going to happen. You know what I mean? Especially when you 5'6" and 180 pounds and you're not the prettiest person on the planet. Like, no, women, y'all gonna have to do work too. So it goes both ways, right? And in order for America to maintain their greatness, I think that both the men and women in America who are in the bottom 80 percentile, which is the vast majority of us, right? We need to understand and accept what's going on and move accordingly. It doesn't make sense to have so many lonely women out here. I see them every time. And here in Tampa, me and my cousin were at Outback the other day, and this woman came in there and she's like ordering, she's eating Outback by herself. She's all dressed up. And I'm like, either someone stood her up or she got dressed up to come out here and eat by herself. It was sad, bro. She wasn't an attractive woman, right? She seemed pleasant enough, but it was sad to see that. Like, damn. And they're telling me that 50% of women are going to be in her situation in the next 6 years. Man, that's just insane, brother.
For that note, what I want you to truly know about my support and my undying allegiance to the FNF podcast is that when I created this, it is coming from a place that I am no longer concerned about the politics of the men in office. Mm-hmm. I want you to know that I wanted this fraternal order to happen because I am seeking the allegiance and the wisdom of your politics. Because for me, this America is that the power is within the people. And I'm only concerned with what the people want. And I'm only going to really, truly be concerned with what the members of our fraternal order think is best for the country going forward in the future.
I think Americans need to take, our freedom of, our Constitution, first of all, but our freedom to vote. I think Americans need to take that seriously. A lot of Americans don't. Some Americans can't. They're so busy trying to make money, trying to survive. You look at what's going on with inflation. You look at what's going on with wages across the country. You look at the divide between the haves and have-nots. There's never been this great a divide between those who have and those who don't have. And if we don't fix this, it's only going to get worse. So as far as politics goes, I would just encourage every American to register to vote. I don't care who you vote for, but go register to vote and get out there and get involved in the process. And I'm not talking about at the top of the ticket. Y'all need to be voting locally. It's kind of like Killer Mike says. Killer Mike is a rapper, activist, very smart man out of Georgia. you need to be voting on who's running your school board. You need to be voting on your mayor. You need to be voting on your state representatives. You need to be voting on your governor. That's what you should at least do. Don't worry about who the president is. Don't worry about who you send into Congress necessarily. Don't worry about who you send into the Senate, right? There's time for that later. But if we can get more Americans to buy into America, right, and just quit being lazy or just not caring, they're too busy with, looking at their likes on TikTok. If we can buy into America, then I think what you're talking about will come around. But men also, I mean, there's no silver bullet. There's no one fix. And that's what everyone's looking for. They're just looking for that one fix. It's not just one. And like brother 509 Trucker was saying, he's asking, like, do you think a lot of fights start because the men don't have the patience to deal with a female shit test? Yeah, but here's the thing. As a guy, you want women to stop giving shit tests? You got to be the guy that doesn't accept it. And I have guys hit me up all the time. Hey, this girl stood me up and I sent her this email or I sent her this text message. I gave her a piece of my mind. See, how do you handle those things? Like if a woman stands me up, she'll never hear from me again.
If you don't want to deal with the shit test, be the shit. Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, the majority of the things that we were just talking about, I think that I could only speak with you in a off of YouTube conversation, because I think that you are a very deep person and I'm a very deep person, and we know the next levels of where this conversation would go in a hypothetical situation. And I am approaching this with a 10-year mentality. I mean, like 2024 to 2034. How many men can be developed in 10 years? How many men can be developed by the time I'm your age in 20 years? And that is the structure I am looking to implore in each and every one of these gentlemen on a one-on-one basis scenario. And I call that enterprising. Take myself, the best that I can as a mentor, copy it into the next person so the best versions of them can come out, and then implore great values.
You know what? We're gonna leave it there as far as this conversation. But what we're gonna do is, bro, we're gonna do a show. I'm gonna have a show just with you. So you're gonna send me the bullet points of the topics that you want to talk about. We're gonna do a show just for you, right? And we're gonna talk about this dynamic. Only thing I ask, get a couple of girls, couple females, smart ones now, it's like, sharp women, to also be on the show so we can send them the link so we can have a conversation, 2 men, 2 women. We can have the conversation so it's just not 2 dudes screaming into the void. I definitely want to hear a female's standpoint and point of view on this, because you bring up some good things. And I'm like, I'm listening to it. I'm like, you know what? We need to do our own show on this. We need to do our own show.
We do. I talk to Icy on a regular basis. Do you think that would be good for the image that we're presenting? I could start with her and then, of course, anyone else.
Yeah, you can get Icy and get Icy, because Icy's a good person to talk to, because she's a real hustler. She's deep. She's a real hustler. She's very passionate, and I have a lot of respect for Icy. That's my people. You know what I mean? I like Icy. And try, and if you can, because I know you know a lot of people, get someone from corporate America or someone who's recently out of college. That would be the other female.
I'll look for it.
Right. And then once you have that sorted, and you know what it is, it's gonna be Icy's gonna give you a time and date. Once she commits, we ain't worried about that. But the other one might be tough. You tell me you got everybody, we'll do the thumbnail, we'll put it out there, and we'll have that conversation, bro, because there may be some things that we are overlooking as men. And there's certainly some things that they're overlooking as women, and we might be able to actually, drill down on that and actually come up with some good solutions. So yeah, man, let's do that, bro. I'm glad you popped up, man. Thank you. Thank you for coming up.
I grabbed a video clip from you earlier talking. I'm going to be promoting you. I'm going to be putting this message out there. When this channel or this stream is over, I'll go ahead and try to grab this clip. If they don't take you down, I'll send this clip to Icy and start facilitating everything that we need to talk about, Saint.
I appreciate you, brother. Yeah, I appreciate you, brother. We're gonna be talking, man. And you know what? I want to thank you, because we talked as men, and you gave me your word. And look at you. I'm proud of you right now, bro. Thank you. You know what I mean? So that's definitely a Don DeMarco for a man keeping his word. Don DeMarco. Brother Chris, we'll be talking to you soon, and let's try to get that show off the ground within the next 2 weeks.
Fantastic. I'll start working on it now.
Appreciate you, brother.
You too.
So I met that brother right there, brother Matchmaker, Chris Matchmaker, through Fresh and Fit, Castle Club, City Groups. Remember how I started the show and I was talking about that network that they're building, and they asked me to build it? Myron and Fresh asked me to oversee this, to project manage this. And this is what we're building. This is what we're building. Right. I'm so happy. I'm so proud that this guy's passionate about what he's doing. He really wants to help men to be able to get involved romantically in a solid relationship.